The cafe, usually a vibrant hub of warmth and shared smiles, felt unusually cold and distant as Jack and Amanda sat opposite each other. They had picked a secluded corner, far from the usual hustle, silently acknowledging the serious nature of their meeting. Amanda, gripping her coffee cup as if seeking comfort from its warmth, looked at Jack with eyes swirling with emotions. She initiated the conversation with a tremor in her voice, a stark contrast to her usual confidence. Jack, sensing a shift in their relationship over the recent weeks, felt a knot in his stomach. Despite his hopes that they were weathering their troubles together, Amanda's words hinted at a different reality, a future where their paths diverged.
Different directions? I thought we were aligned, Amanda. What's changed?
It's not just about what we dream of, Jack. It's about what's real. We need more than just dreams. We need a planned stability, a future that's not just built on maybes.
So this is, about stability, about my choices?
Yes, Jack, your choices. You're chasing something beautiful, but it's not something tangible that I can build a life around. I need certainty, something solid.
The conversation's weight lingered heavily in the air, marking the end of a chapter they had started together, but now would not complete in unity. Jack's urge to argue, to bridge the growing gap, was overwhelmed by the finality he saw in Amanda's eyes. A deep realization set in. This was their goodbye. Jack's world, once filled with shared dreams and adventures, now echoed with a sense of loss. Every street corner, cafe, and the park where they often walked served as reminders of a future that would no longer unfold. In his apartment, surrounded by his ambitious plans and sketches, Jack felt the full impact of their parting. Their once shared dreams, vibrant and unconventional, starkly contrasted with Amanda's newfound need for predictability and security. Jack realized that while the breakup had shattered a shared dream, it had not taken away his own. His path might be unconventional, filled with uncertainties and risks, but it was his own to walk. Embracing this new reality, Jack began to piece together his aspirations, finding solace in the act of creation. His work, a vivid expression of his inner world, became a canvas for his renewed ambitions. In the solitude that followed Amanda's departure, Jack found a surprising ally. Introspection. The quiet of his apartment became a space for contemplation and creativity. As he delved into his projects, he rediscovered aspects of himself that had been overshadowed by the relationship. Jack's journey of self-discovery was punctuated by moments of doubt and revelation. He began to see his solitude not as a consequence of his failures, but as a crucible for growth. It was an opportunity to explore his passion without constraints, to redefine his dreams on his own terms. In this newfound space, Jack started to reconstruct his identity, not as part of a couple, but as an individual with unique aspirations and a path marked by resilience and creativity. The first light of dawn crept through the curtains, casting a gentle glow across the room. Jack lay in bed, his eyes tracing the dance of dust motes in the sunbeam. Today felt different. It wasn't just another morning. It was the first day of a new chapter in his life, a chapter without Amanda. As he rose from his bed, a sense of determination surged within him. The city outside was awakening, its streets slowly coming to life, mirroring the awakening in his own soul. Standing by the window, Jack gazed out at the sprawling cityscape. It was as if he was seeing it for the first time, not just as a backdrop to his former life with Amanda, but as a playground for his dreams, a vast expanse of possibilities. He felt the weight of his solitude, but it no longer bore down on him with the heaviness of loss. Instead, it was invigorating, a blank canvas on which he could paint his future. The pain of the breakup, though still a dull ache in his heart, was now a catalyst for change. The rising sun seemed to symbolize the start of this new journey. The golden rays, cutting through the remnants of night, were like fingers of hope reaching into his room, dispelling the shadows of doubt that had plagued him. Jack took a deep breath, the fresh morning air filling his lungs. He felt a renewed sense of purpose, a clarity that had eluded him in the emotional turmoil of the past weeks. Today marked the beginning of something new, something bold, a journey of rediscovery, of taking the reins of his life and steering it towards a horizon filled with his own aspirations. In this moment, as the city awoke, so did Jack's spirit. The challenges ahead were many, but for the first time since the breakup, he felt ready to face them head on. This was his new dawn, his chance to rise from the ashes of his old life and soar towards the future he desired. In the wake of his breakup with Amanda, Jack found himself at a significant crossroads. The comfort and familiarity of their shared life had vanished, leaving him to navigate the complexities of independence alone. His days, once punctuated by the routines they shared, now stretched out before him, filled with silence and introspection. The solitude was both a challenge and an opportunity. Jack threw himself into his work as a mechanical engineer, channeling his emotions into creativity and innovation. Yet each success in his professional life was counterbalanced by moments of doubt and loneliness in his personal life. The freedom of working independently, which once seemed so alluring, now felt daunting in its vastness. Jack's small apartment, once a shared sanctuary of love and dreams, now echoed with the memories of what had been. He would often find himself pausing, lost in thoughts, gazing at the empty spaces that Amanda once filled. The quiet was both a balm and a reminder of his new reality. Despite the challenges, Jack was determined to forge his own path. He spent long nights working on new designs and concepts, pushing the boundaries of his knowledge and skills. His projects, infused with his passion and dedication, began to gather interest and recognition within the engineering community. However, this period of transition was not without its struggles. The balance between his professional aspirations and the need for personal fulfillment was a tightrope walk. Jack often found himself questioning his decisions, wondering if the pursuit of his dreams was worth the solitude it entailed. Yet, with each passing day, Jack grew more accustomed to his new way of life. He began to appreciate the quiet, using the time to reflect and grow. He learned to enjoy his own company, finding solace in the small victories and pleasures of solitary life. This chapter of Jack's life was a testament to his resilience. It highlighted the strength it takes to stand alone, to build a life independently, and to find comfort in one's own company. Jack's journey was a reminder that while the road to fulfilling one's dreams can be solitary, it is also replete with opportunities for self-discovery and growth. As Jack adjusted to his newfound independence, he found himself revisiting the dreams that had first sparked his passion for engineering. These were not just the dreams he had shared with Amanda, but his own personal aspirations that had been momentarily overshadowed by their relationship and its subsequent demise. In the quiet of his studio, surrounded by blueprints and prototypes, Jack felt a renewed connection with his earlier ambitions. There was a project he had conceived during his college years, an innovative renewable energy system, which he had set aside for more practical endeavors. Now, with the freedom to choose his path, he dusted off the old plans and began to work on them with fresh eyes. This project was more than just an engineering challenge. It was a part of Jack's identity, a symbol of his creativity and vision. As he worked on refining the design, he felt a sense of fulfillment that had been missing in recent times. It was a reminder of why he had chosen this path in the first place, a reaffirmation of his passion for engineering and innovation. Working on this dream project also served as a healing process for Jack. Each hour spent in the studio was an hour spent reconnecting with himself, away from the remnants of his broken relationship. The project became a companion in his solitude, a positive focus for his energies, and a distraction from the loneliness that often crept into his apartment. As the days turned into weeks, Jack's project began to take shape. He started to share his progress with peers and mentors, receiving constructive feedback and encouragement. The more he immersed himself in the work, the more he realized its potential. It was an ambitious project, but Jack had never been one to shy away from a challenge. This period of reconnecting with his old dreams was a turning point for Jack. It was during these moments of solitude and focus that he truly began to understand the depth of his capabilities. He learned that sometimes stepping back and revisiting the roots of one's passion can be the most powerful way to move forward. In rediscovering his early dreams, Jack found the motivation to push through the challenges of his new life. He was no longer just working to make ends meet. He was working towards something that truly mattered to him, something that resonated with his deepest aspirations. Despite the resurgence of passion and drive in his work, Jack's journey of independence was not without its moments of doubt. As he delved deeper into his project, the magnitude of what he was attempting to achieve began to dawn on him. The complexities and challenges of bringing his innovative renewable energy system to fruition were daunting. Late at night, in the solitude of his studio, Jack often found himself grappling with uncertainty. He questioned his ability to complete the project to his own exacting standards. Thoughts of failure crept in, casting shadows over his enthusiasm. The financial pressures of being a freelancer added to his worries. The stability and predictability that Amanda had sought and he had forsaken loomed large in these moments of vulnerability. These encounters with doubt were a stark contrast to the confidence he exhibited during the day. To the outside world, Jack was a driven and ambitious engineer, tirelessly working towards his goals. But in the quiet of the night, he was a man wrestling with the fear of not living up to his own expectations, let alone anyone else's. It was during these times that Jack missed having Amanda by his side the most. She had been his sounding board, offering pragmatic perspectives that balanced his idealistic tendencies. Without her, every decision felt heavier, every setback more personal. However, it was also in these moments of self-doubt that Jack discovered an inner resilience he hadn't known he possessed. He learned to counter the negative thoughts with reminders of his past successes, no matter how small. He revisited positive feedback from clients and mentors, using them as fuel to keep moving forward. Jack also began to seek out a community of fellow engineers and innovators, participating in forums and local meetups. These interactions provided him with a sense of belonging and a network of support. Hearing others share their challenges and triumphs helped Jack realize that doubt was a common companion on the journey to achieving great things. Gradually, Jack learned to embrace the uncertainty as a natural part of the creative process. He understood that breakthroughs often come disguised as insurmountable obstacles. This mindset shift was crucial in keeping him anchored during the highs and lows of his journey. In the midst of his struggles and self-doubt, Jack experienced a pivotal moment that reignited his passion and reinforced his commitment to his path. It came unexpectedly during a local engineering conference where he presented a preliminary model of his renewable energy system. The response was overwhelmingly positive. His peers and seasoned professionals in the field were genuinely impressed by the innovation and potential impact of his project. This external validation provided Jack with a much-needed boost in confidence. It was a reminder of why he had embarked on this journey in the first place. The conference not only renewed Jack's enthusiasm, but also expanded his network. He connected with like-minded individuals who shared his passion for sustainable engineering solutions. These connections opened doors to new collaborations and opportunities. Jack found himself part of a community that was eager to support and encourage each other. This experience was a turning point. Jack began to approach his work with a renewed vigor and a clearer vision. He started to see his project not just as a personal endeavor, but as part of a larger movement towards sustainable innovation. His work had meaning beyond his own aspirations. It had the potential to contribute to a global cause. As he delved back into his project, Jack's days were filled with a sense of purpose. The long hours in the studio no longer felt like a burden. They were opportunities to explore, create, and make a difference. He began experimenting with new ideas, pushing the boundaries of what he thought was possible. The loneliness that had once filled his apartment was replaced by a sense of fulfillment. Jack found joy in the solitary hours spent working on his designs. The silence that had once echoed with the remnants of his relationship with Amanda now resounded with the promise of innovation and progress. Jack's journey of rediscovering his passion was not just about the success of his project. It was about rekindling the fire within him, the unrelenting drive to challenge the status quo and make a meaningful impact. He realized that true passion is resilient. It can withstand doubt, fear, and setbacks. Amidst the busy ambiance of the airport, where travelers hurried along with purposeful strides, Jack stood out with his thoughtful demeanor, clutching a portfolio of engineering designs and concepts. He navigated through the crowd. His attention was abruptly diverted when he spotted Amanda a few feet away. Taking a deep breath, Jack approached her. "Amanda, it's been a while," he said, his voice tinged with a mix of surprise and hesitation. Amanda looked up, her initial surprise quickly shifting to a composed, almost aloof expression. "Jack, the engineer, still trying to revolutionize the world with your machines?" Jack felt a familiar pang of discomfort at her tone. "These designs could change the way we think about renewable energy, Amanda. It's important work," he defended, trying to keep his voice even. Amanda let out a light, almost mocking laugh. "Always the dreamer, Jack. But tell me, do these grand ideas of yours pay the bills? Or are you still playing the role of the struggling inventor?" The sarcasm in her words stung Jack more than he cared to admit. "It's more than just playing a role, Amanda. I believe in what I'm doing, even if it's a challenge," Jack replied, his determination shining through his frustration. "Belief is a luxury, Jack. Some of us live in the real world where stable careers matter," Amanda retorted, her eyes cold. The call for final boarding interrupted what was quickly becoming an uncomfortable reunion. Amanda picked up her bag with a dismissive gesture. "Well, good luck with your endeavors, Jack. I hope reality catches up with you kindly." Watching Amanda walk away, Jack felt a surge of mixed emotions. Her words, meant to undermine, instead ignited a firmer resolve in him. In her doubt, Jack found a stronger conviction in his own path, a path that was unconventional but full of potential and purpose. As the plane ascended, so did the whirlwind of emotions inside Jack. With Amanda just a few rows ahead, each memory of their time together took flight. The laughter, the shared dreams, and even the quiet, mundane moments that had stitched their lives together. Jack's gaze occasionally lingered on Amanda, sparking a bittersweet blend of nostalgia and loss. Their past, once vibrant and full of promise, now seemed like a distant echo, fading against the reality of their separate lives. His thoughts oscillated between the warmth of their early days and the chill of their final goodbye. The physical proximity to Amanda on the plane intensified these reflections, making them more poignant, more tangible. Did she also dwell in these memories, or had she moved beyond them? As the city below became a mere blur, Jack's mind journeyed through their past, each recollection a reminder of what they had shared and lost. But amidst the turbulence of his emotions, a sense of clarity began to emerge. This flight was more than a journey between cities. It was a metaphor for his transition, from a shared past with Amanda to a future he was yet to write. Jack's gaze shifted away from Amanda and out the window, where the world below was a tapestry of clouds and earth. He contemplated initiating a conversation with her. To bridge the gap, time had widened. But what would he say? Would she even care to listen? In the silence of his thoughts, Jack turned to the passenger beside him, an elderly gentleman who seemed keen on conversation. They spoke of travel, of destinations, and the beauty of flying. The man's stories were a welcome distraction, a brief respite from the emotional storm within. Despite the light chatter, Jack's thoughts kept drifting back to Amanda, the sound of her laugh, the way she used to look at him. All these were ghosts from a past life, haunting the corridors of his heart. He felt a pang of regret, a longing for the connection they once shared. Looking at Amanda again, Jack noticed her occasionally glancing in his direction, her expression unreadable. Was she reminiscing too? Did she feel the same discomfort and nostalgia that he did? The questions hung in the air, unanswered, adding to the drama of the moment. As the plane reached cruising altitude, Jack's heart was a tumult of emotions. The proximity to Amanda, once a source of comfort, now felt like a mirror reflecting back his own vulnerabilities. The feelings he had for her, though buried under layers of time and change, stirred within him. Yet, there was also a realization dawning upon him. This encounter, uncomfortable as it was, served as a poignant reminder of how much he had grown. From the ashes of their relationship, Jack had emerged stronger, more self-aware. The journey they had shared was a chapter that had ended, but it was a chapter that had prepared him for the rest of his story. As the plane cut through the skies, Jack settled back into his seat, a mix of sorrow and resolve in his heart. The encounter with Amanda had reopened old wounds, but it had also reinforced his journey forward. A journey he was now ready to continue, with or without her.
Amanda didn't expect to see you here.
I could say the same, Jack. Just needed to stretch my legs.
Seeing Amanda here, in this confined space, it feels like the world has shrunk, Jack thought. The air was thick with memories and unsaid words, making even this brief encounter heavy with meaning. Of course, turbulence, Jack mused as the plane shook, observing the other passengers' nervous glances. He watched Amanda grip the counter, her usual poise faltering. She always hated turbulence, he remembered. He felt a pull, a natural instinct to reach out and comfort her as he might have once done. But he hesitated, his mind a tangle of emotions. Too much history, too complicated, he reminded himself. The unspoken words and their complex past, holding him back in a silence filled with what could have been. In the midst of the unsettling motion of the plane, Jack and Amanda found themselves forced into a proximity that brought their unresolved feelings to the surface. Jack wanted to address the tension between them, to clear the air, but the words wouldn't come. Amanda, too, seemed caught in the moment, her eyes reflecting a mix of emotions. The turbulence outside mirrored the turmoil within them both. As the turbulence grew stronger, so did the awkwardness of their encounter. They exchanged small talk, each sentence laden with memories and meaning. The conversation was a dance around the past, a careful navigation of what once was. The shaking of the plane added a physical tension to their emotional one, a symbolic representation of the tumultuous nature of their relationship. Eventually, Jack excused himself, leaving Amanda at the bar. As he returned to his seat, the plane steadied, but his thoughts did not. The encounter with Amanda had left him unsettled, a mixture of old feelings and new realizations stirring within him. He gazed out the window, the clouds passing by a metaphor for the fleeting nature of relationships. Jack realized that no matter how turbulent the journey, it was always moving forward. Much like his own life, the plane's sudden lurch into more severe turbulence sent a wave of panic through the cabin. Passengers gripped their armrests, and nervous murmurs filled the air. The overhead compartments rattled loudly, adding to the growing sense of unease. Jack, back in his seat, could feel the tension around him. He glanced over at Amanda, noticing her trying to mask her fear with a semblance of composure. Around them, other passengers were less able to hide their anxiety. A child clung to their parent, eyes wide with fear, while a businessman across the aisle muttered prayers under his breath. The flight attendants moved through the cabin, their voices calm but firm, instructing everyone to fasten their seatbelts and remain seated. Jack admired their professionalism in the face of the palpable fear that had gripped the plane. As the aircraft continued to shake violently, the reality of their situation hit Jack. They were thousands of feet in the air, in a vessel buffeted by unseen forces. He felt a surge of fear, but also a growing determination. In this moment of crisis, he realized the importance of staying calm and rational. Jack took a deep breath, trying to steady his nerves. He looked out the window, where the storm clouds were a dark and swirling mass, a visual representation of the chaos they were flying through. Despite the fear, Jack felt a sense of clarity. In the midst of this turmoil, he knew that panicking would help no one. The turbulence continued, each dip and rise of the plane a test of the passenger's nerves. Jack found himself silently offering words of encouragement to those around him, a small gesture to counter the fear that threatened to overwhelm them all. In this moment, high above the clouds, Jack understood the fragile nature of life and the strength that can be found even in the most fearful of circumstances. He realized that courage wasn't the absence of fear, but the ability to face it head on. In the midst of the chaos, Jack's attention was drawn to Amanda. The turbulence had stripped away her usual composed exterior, revealing a vulnerability he had seldom seen. Her knuckles were white as she clutched the armrest, and her eyes were closed tightly, a silent admission of her fear. Despite their past, Jack felt a pull of concern for her. He remembered how Amanda had always disliked flying, how she would grip his hand during takeoffs and landings. Seeing her in this state, alone and visibly shaken, reignited a sense of protectiveness in him. Quietly, Jack unbuckled his seatbelt and made his way over to her. "Hey," he said softly, standing in the aisle next to her seat. Amanda's eyes flickered open, surprise momentarily overriding her fear. "Jack, what are you doing?" "I just thought you might need some company," Jack replied, his voice calm and reassuring. Turbulence can be unsettling. Amanda gave a weak smile, a mix of gratitude and residual tension in her expression. "I'm usually not this bad, but this is a lot," she admitted, her voice betraying a hint of embarrassment. Jack nodded, understandingly. It's okay to be scared. For a moment, their past differences seemed to fade into insignificance, overshadowed by the immediate reality of the situation. They were two individuals caught in an unexpected and frightening moment, and the connection they shared, however frayed, offered a semblance of comfort. As the plane continued to shudder and groan, Jack stayed by Amanda's side, offering silent support. It was a strange turn of events. The once confident and independent Amanda now accepting comfort from the man she had once left in pursuit of stability. This shared moment of vulnerability amidst the chaos of the flight was a reminder of their shared humanity. It showed that beneath the roles they played and the fronts they put up, they were both just people, trying to find their way through the storms of life. As the turbulence intensified, a newfound courage began to emerge within Jack. Standing beside Amanda, offering what comfort he could, he felt a sense of purpose amidst the chaos. The fear that had initially gripped him was now transforming into a resolve to face the situation head on. Jack looked around at the other passengers, their faces etched with anxiety. He saw the child across the aisle, still clinging to their parent, their small frame shaking with each jolt of the plane. It was this sight that spurred Jack into action. He moved through the cabin, his voice steady and reassuring, offering words of comfort to those around him. "We'll get through this," he said to the child, offering a gentle smile. "Planes are built to handle much more than a little turbulence." His words seemed to offer some relief to the passengers. They looked at him with gratitude, finding solace in his calm demeanor. Jack realized that sometimes a few reassuring words could make a significant difference. Returning to Amanda, Jack found her watching him, a new respect in her eyes. "I didn't know you had it in you," she said, her voice softer now. Jack shrugged, a modest smile on his face. "Neither did I," he admitted. As the plane continued to rock and sway, Jack's presence became a beacon of stability for those around him. His actions not only helped calm the passengers, but also strengthened his own resolve. He understood that courage was not about the absence of fear, but about finding the strength to act despite it. This experience was a turning point for Jack. It was a moment that showcased his ability to lead and comfort others, even in the face of his own fears. The situation on the plane was a metaphor for his life, uncertain and sometimes frightening, but always moving forward. As the aircraft continued its turbulent journey, Jack found himself becoming an unexpected source of calm amidst the panic. His earlier conversation with Amanda and the brief interactions with other passengers had instilled a sense of responsibility within him. Moving from one row to another, Jack offered reassuring words, his presence a comforting constant in the storm. "Everything's gonna be okay," he said to a young couple clutching each other's hands. "Planes are designed to withstand much more than this." His words seemed to resonate, easing the tension that was palpable in the air. Even the flight attendants, busy as they were, offered Jack appreciative nods. They were trained for situations like these, but the presence of a calming passenger like Jack made their job a little easier. Meanwhile, Amanda observed Jack's interactions. The seriousness of the situation had softened the barriers between them, allowing her to see Jack in a new light. Gone was the man she had left for his seeming lack of direction. In his place was someone exuding strength and leadership in a crisis. Jack's return to his seat brought a sense of relief to Amanda. "You're good at this," she remarked, a genuine note of admiration in her voice. Jack smiled modestly. "I just can't sit still, knowing others are scared. It helps me to help them," he replied, his gaze steady. The plane hit another patch of rough air, causing a collective gasp among the passengers. Jack reached out instinctively, his hand finding Amanda's. It was a reflex, born out of a desire to comfort and assure. In that brief touch, there was an unspoken acknowledgement of their shared humanity, of the instinct to connect and protect in times of fear. As the minutes passed, the turbulence began to lessen. The relief among the passengers was almost tangible, like a collective exhale after a prolonged breath hold. Jack's role in calming the chaos wasn't something he had ever envisioned for himself, but it was a role he had assumed with a natural ease, a testament to the depth of his character and the growth he had undergone. As the plane gradually steadied, the atmosphere inside the cabin shifted from one of panic to relief. The shared experience of the turbulence had created an unspoken bond among the passengers, a connection forged in the face of adversity. Murmurs of conversation began to fill the air, the tension dissipating as people shared their relief and experiences. Jack, feeling a sense of calm after the storm, glanced over at Amanda. The fear had left her eyes, replaced by a contemplative look. She caught his gaze and held it for a moment, a silent communication that acknowledged the ordeal they had just endured together. In those quiet moments, as the passengers began to relax, Jack reflected on the unexpected turn of events. The crisis had brought out a side of him he hadn't known existed. He had stepped up, not just for himself, but for those around him. It was a realization that filled him with a newfound sense of confidence and purpose. Amanda leaned towards Jack, her voice soft. "Thank you," she said sincerely, "for what you did. It meant a lot to everyone." Jack nodded, acknowledging her thanks. "It's strange how situations like this bring people together, isn't it? Even us," he replied, a hint of irony in his voice. "Yes, it is," Amanda agreed, a trace of wistfulness in her tone. "Crisis has a way of peeling back layers, showing us what we're really made of." As the plane continued on its journey, a sense of normalcy began to return. But the experience had changed something in Jack. He had not only confronted his own fears, but had also helped others face theirs. It was a powerful testament to the human spirit's capacity to find courage in the face of fear. The bonds formed in the crisis, however fleeting, were real. They were a reminder of the resilience and strength that lay within each person, waiting to be revealed in moments of challenge. The newfound calm in the cabin was abruptly shattered when an urgent announcement came over the intercom. "Is there a doctor on board?" The flight attendant's voice was laced with a controlled urgency that sent a ripple of concern through the passengers. Jack's attention snapped to the front as a flurry of activity unfolded near the cockpit. The co-pilot emerged, her face pale, speaking quickly to the flight attendants. Through the murmur of the cabin, Jack overheard the words that chilled his blood. The pilots collapsed. A sense of disbelief swept through the cabin. Passengers exchanged worried glances, the tension swiftly returning. Jack felt his own pulse quicken. The pilot's collapse was a scenario he had never even considered. He watched as a doctor rushed forward from the back of the plane. The situation was serious, and everyone knew it. The fear that had just started to ebb away returned with a vengeance, filling the cabin with a palpable dread. Amanda turned to Jack, her eyes wide with fear. "What's going to happen now?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Jack could only shake his head, uncertainty gripping him. He was an engineer, not a pilot, but he understood the gravity of the situation. The pilot was crucial, and without them, the safety of everyone on board was in jeopardy. As the doctor disappeared into the cockpit, Jack couldn't help but feel a surge of helplessness. The calm, confident presence he had maintained earlier seemed to waver under the weight of this new crisis. He looked out the window at the endless sky and clouds, a stark reminder of their isolation and vulnerability. In that moment, the reality of their situation settled over the cabin like a heavy blanket. They were thousands of feet in the air, in a metal vessel now without its captain. The safety of their journey, once taken for granted, was now a question mark hanging over every head. The tension in the cabin was palpable, as whispers and concerned looks were exchanged among the passengers. Jack's mind raced as he contemplated their dire situation. The announcement of the pilot's collapse had instilled a sense of urgency and fear. His engineering background, though not directly related to aviation, gave him an understanding of the technicalities and mechanics that might be at play. In a moment of resolve, Jack unbuckled his seatbelt and stood up. Moving towards the cockpit, he was stopped by a flight attendant. "I'm sorry, sir." "You can't go in there," she said, her voice firm despite the anxiety in her eyes.
I need to get into the cockpit.
I'm sorry. Sorry. You can't go in there.
I'm an engineer. I might understand some of the controls. Maybe I can help.
There's a moment of hesitation from the flight attendant.
All right, quickly.
The flight attendant hesitated, then nodded, allowing him to pass. Jack stepped into the cockpit, his heart pounding. The scene was one of controlled chaos. The co-pilot was desperately trying to stabilize the plane, her face a mask of concentration and stress. "I'm here to help," Jack said, his voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through him. The co-pilot glanced at him, sizing him up quickly. "Do you have any flight experience?" she asked, her tone clipped. "Not with planes, but I understand mechanics and engineering." "Tell me what to do," Jack responded. Working together, they began to address the situation. The co-pilot gave quick, clear instructions, and Jack followed them as best he could. His hands were steady, guided by her expertise and his own understanding of systems and controls. Every adjustment to the controls, every decision made, was critical. Jack's focus was intense, his entire being concentrated on the task at hand. The knowledge that the lives of everyone on board rested in part on his shoulders was both terrifying and galvanizing. Outside the cockpit, the passengers waited in tense silence, aware of the gravity of the situation. Inside, Jack and the co-pilot were a team united by a single goal: to bring the plane to safety. As they worked, Jack felt a connection with the co-pilot, a bond forged in the crucible of crisis. Together, they were more than just two individuals. They were the last hope for a safe conclusion to an unforeseen and perilous journey. In the cockpit, Jack and the co-pilot worked in tandem, a team formed out of necessity in the face of danger. The co-pilot's hands moved swiftly over the controls, her instructions to Jack precise and urgent. Jack, despite his lack of flight experience, adapted quickly, his engineering background aiding his understanding of the systems and mechanics at play. The plane continued to shudder, each movement a reminder of the precarious situation they were in. Jack could feel the tension in his muscles, a physical manifestation of the stress and responsibility of the moment. He focused on the dials and screens before him, each adjustment a delicate balance between too much and too little. Outside the cockpit, the cabin was filled with a nervous silence, broken only by the occasional murmur of worried passengers. They were acutely aware of the efforts being made at the front of the plane, their hopes pinned on the unseen individuals, battling to bring them safely back to the ground. Back in the cockpit, Jack and the co-pilot communicated with air traffic control, relaying their situation and receiving guidance. The voice coming through the headset was calm and professional, offering a lifeline in the midst of chaos. As they approached the most critical phase of their ordeal, the descent and landing, the weight of their task grew heavier. The co-pilot's voice was steady, but Jack could sense the undercurrent of tension in her instructions. Every decision they made, every action they took, was critical. Jack's respect for the co-pilot grew with each passing minute. Her ability to remain composed and focused under such pressure was nothing short of remarkable. She was the unsung hero of the skies. Her skills and calm demeanor, a beacon of hope in a situation fraught with uncertainty and fear. Together, they navigated the turbulent skies, their combined efforts a testament to human resilience and cooperation. In that small cockpit, high above the clouds, Jack found a sense of purpose and strength he had never known he possessed. He was no longer just a passenger on a journey. He was an integral part of a team fighting to save the day. The descent began, a critical phase that tested the limits of Jack's newfound courage and the co-pilot's expertise. Every adjustment to the plane's trajectory had to be precise. Every communication with air traffic control clear and concise. The tension in the cockpit was palpable, a tangible presence that filled the small space. Jack, following the co-pilot's instructions, felt a deep focus envelop him. The stakes were monumental. Not just his life, but the lives of everyone on board hung in the balance. He pushed aside any creeping doubts, focusing solely on the task at hand. Outside, the passengers braced themselves, aware that the crucial moments of their journey were at hand. Whispers of prayers and words of encouragement were shared, a collective holding of breath as the plane descended through the turbulent skies. In the cockpit, the co-pilot's calm professionalism was a guiding force. She relayed instructions to Jack with unwavering focus, her experience as a pilot shining through in these critical moments. Jack, in turn, was a quick study, his actions precise and measured, driven by a deep desire to ensure the safety of everyone on board. As the ground neared, the tension reached its peak. The co-pilot's voice remained steady, guiding Jack through the final procedures. Jack's hands were steady on the controls, his entire being focused on the task of landing the plane safely. With a skill born of necessity and guided by the co-pilot's expertise, Jack helped navigate the aircraft onto the runway. The touchdown was smoother than anyone had dared to hope, a testament to the extraordinary efforts in the cockpit. As the plane came to a stop, a collective sigh of relief washed through the cabin. Passengers broke into spontaneous applause, a chorus of gratitude and disbelief at their safe landing against all odds. In the cockpit, Jack and the co-pilot shared a brief, exhausted smile. They had done it. Together, they had brought the plane and its passengers safely back to the ground. It was a moment of triumph, a testament to human resilience and the power of teamwork in the face of adversity. As the passengers disembarked from the plane, the relief and gratitude were palpable. Many stopped to thank Jack, their expressions a mix of admiration and disbelief. Amanda, among the last to leave, paused briefly at the cockpit door.
You were incredible, Jack. Thank you.
Jack, still processing the events, managed a modest nod. We got lucky. The co-pilot was amazing, he replied, deflecting the praise. As news of the incident spread, Jack found himself thrust into an unexpected spotlight. The story of the engineer who helped land a plane caught the media's attention. And suddenly, Jack was more than just a passenger. He was a hero. In the days following the incident, Jack was interviewed by news outlets, his story shared across social media, and praised for his bravery and quick thinking. It was overwhelming, this sudden shift from anonymity to recognition. But with the fame came a renewed sense of purpose in his career. Jack's skills as an engineer, which he had always believed in, were now recognized by a wider audience. Offers for collaboration and job opportunities. Offers for collaboration and job opportunities began to pour in, opening doors that had previously been closed. The experience on the plane had changed him in more ways than one. Not only had he discovered a strength and courage he hadn't known he possessed, but he had also inadvertently showcased his talent and potential to the world. Amanda's perspective on him seemed to shift as well. Their brief interactions in the aftermath were tinged with a newfound respect, and perhaps a hint of regret. But for Jack, the experience had brought a clarity about his life and his path. As he stepped into this new world of recognition and opportunity, Jack realized that the most challenging moments often lead to the greatest growth. The incident on the plane was not just about saving the day. It was about stepping into his own, embracing his abilities, and moving forward with confidence. The aftermath of the flight incident catapulted Jack into a realm he had never anticipated. The media dubbed him the hero engineer, a title that felt both flattering and overwhelming. Interviews and appearances became part of his daily life, each request a reminder of how drastically his world had changed in a matter of hours. Jack found himself adapting to this newfound fame. Initially hesitant, he gradually embraced the role, realizing it provided a platform to advocate for engineering and innovation, passions that had driven him long before the flight. As his story gained traction, so did his career. Companies and investors, once indifferent, were now keen to collaborate with the man who had helped land a plane in crisis. Jack's projects, which had struggled for recognition, were now receiving the attention they deserved. This surge of interest was both a validation of his skills and a testament to the unpredictability of life. Yet, with this fame came a sense of responsibility. Jack understood that he was now a public figure, a role model to aspiring engineers and everyday heroes. He took this responsibility seriously, striving to use his influence positively. The attention also rekindled his relationship with Amanda in unexpected ways. Their interactions, previously strained and awkward, were now colored with a hint of admiration and a new understanding. Amanda reached out to him, acknowledging his courage and expressing pride in what he had accomplished. Jack navigated this new landscape with a mix of humility and confidence. The incident on the plane had been a turning point, not just in terms of his survival, but also in reshaping his identity and career. He had emerged not only as a hero in the eyes of the world, but also as a more self-assured and driven individual. The fame, while initially daunting, became a catalyst for growth and opportunity. Jack embraced this new chapter, recognizing that the most transformative moments often arise from the most unexpected circumstances. The fame and recognition that followed the incident ushered in a significant shift in Jack's career. He found himself at a crossroads, with opportunities he had never imagined now laid out before him. His experience on the plane, combined with his engineering expertise, had opened doors that were previously closed. Engineering firms and technology companies, once out of reach, were now actively seeking his insight and collaboration. Jack was invited to consult on innovative projects, particularly those focusing on aviation safety and mechanical engineering advancements. His opinion, once sought only by a small circle, was now valued on a much larger scale. This change was not just professional, but personal. Jack saw it as a chance to make a real impact in the field he was passionate about. He became involved in initiatives to enhance safety protocols in aviation, drawing from his unique experience to contribute to meaningful change. The shift in his career also brought a sense of fulfillment. Jack had long sought. He was no longer the struggling engineer trying to prove his worth. He was now a respected professional, making tangible contributions to his field. Amanda, witnessing this transformation, expressed her admiration for his accomplishments. "You've really made something incredible out of a terrifying situation," she said during one of their conversations. "It's impressive, Jack." Their dynamic had shifted, no longer defined by their past relationship, but by mutual respect and a shared history that had taken a remarkable turn. Jack embraced this new phase of his career with enthusiasm and a deep sense of responsibility. He knew that his journey was unique and that it had given him a platform not just to succeed, but to influence and inspire. As he delved into this new chapter, Jack carried with him the lessons learned from his past, the resilience, the courage, and the unwavering pursuit of his passions. His life had taken an unexpected detour, but it had led him to a path where he could leave his mark, not just as a hero of a flight, but as a trailblazer in his field. In the whirlwind of change that followed the flight incident, an unexpected development was the rekindling of Jack's relationship with Amanda. It wasn't a rekindling of their romance, but rather a newfound connection based on mutual respect and a shared past that had taken a dramatic turn. Amanda reached out to Jack first, extending an invitation to catch up over coffee. Hesitant at first, Jack agreed, curious about what this new interaction might bring. As they sat in a quiet corner of a cafe, much like they had done countless times in the past, the conversation flowed more easily than Jack had anticipated. They spoke of the incident, of Jack's newfound fame, and of Amanda's life since their split. The awkwardness and hurt that had once defined their encounters were replaced by a comfortable camaraderie. Amanda was candid about her feelings. "Seeing you on the news, how you stepped up, it made me realize how much you've grown," she said. "I was wrong about you, Jack. You were always capable of great things." Jack listened, a mix of surprise and appreciation in his response. "Thanks, Amanda. That means a lot, coming from you." "I guess we've both changed in our ways," he replied. The conversation drifted to their shared memories, to the dreams they had once nurtured together. There was a sense of nostalgia, but it was no longer painful. It was a recognition of a chapter in their lives that had shaped them both. Their newfound understanding allowed them to discuss what had gone wrong in their relationship with honesty. It was a healing experience, one that brought closure and a sense of peace. They both acknowledged that their paths were meant to diverge, that their individual journeys required them to be apart. As they parted ways, there was a mutual acknowledgement that they would always be important to each other. Their relationship had evolved from romantic partners to something different, yet equally valuable. This reconnection with Amanda was another step in Jack's journey, a testament to his growth and his ability to navigate the complexities of relationships and emotions. It was a poignant reminder that sometimes people come into our lives not to stay forever, but to teach us valuable lessons and to be part of our story for as long as they are meant to be. As the season changed, so did the nature of Jack and Amanda's interactions. They had come to a place of mutual understanding and respect, a far cry from the emotional turmoil that once surrounded their relationship. It was during a late autumn evening, with the leaves turning golden and the air crisp with a promise of winter, that they decided to meet once more, this time to say a final goodbye. In a quaint park where they had once walked hand in hand, dreaming of the future, they now sat on a bench, each comfortable in their own skin, content with the paths they had chosen. The setting sun cast a warm glow over them, a fitting backdrop for this moment of closure. "I'm moving to Boston next month," Amanda revealed, her voice tinged with both excitement and a hint of sadness. A new job, a fresh start. Jack smiled, genuinely happy for her. "That sounds great, Amanda. You always wanted to work there. I'm really happy things are working out for you." There was a pause, a comfortable silence as they both took in the significance of the step. "And you, Jack? What's next on your horizon?" Amanda asked, looking at him with curious eyes. Jack looked out over the park, his mind on the countless possibilities that lay ahead. "I've got some big projects lined up, and I'm doing some work with aviation safety now. Who knows where it will lead, but I'm excited to find out." As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows on the ground, they both knew it was time to part ways. Standing up, they faced each other, a mutual recognition of the end of their chapter together. "This is it then," Amanda said, her voice steady but soft. "Goodbye, Amanda," Jack replied. He extended his hand, but Amanda stepped in for a hug, a final embrace that spoke volumes of their journey, of forgiveness, and of growth. As they walked away in opposite directions, there was no bitterness, no regret, just a sense of gratitude for the love they had shared and the lessons they had learned. Their story together had ended, but their stories as individuals were just beginning. As Jack walked away from his final meeting with Amanda, he felt a profound sense of peace. Their last goodbye was a symbolic closure, not just to their relationship, but to a chapter of his life that had shaped him indelibly. He looked ahead, feeling the crisp autumn air fill his lungs, invigorated by the sense of new beginnings. In the following days, Jack immersed himself in his work with renewed vigor. His experiences, both on the plane and in his personal life, had given him a clearer perspective on what he wanted to achieve. He dedicated himself to his engineering projects, each one a step towards realizing the dreams he once shared with Amanda, and now pursued for himself. But Jack's journey was not just about professional achievements. The fame he had gained from the incident on the plane had put him in a position to influence and inspire others. He started speaking at schools and universities, sharing his story to motivate young minds towards pursuing their passions, regardless of the obstacles. His message was simple yet powerful. Resilience, courage, and perseverance can turn the most challenging situations into opportunities for growth. Jack's own journey was a testament to this belief, a narrative that resonated with many who heard it. As he looked to the future, Jack saw a path filled with possibilities. He was no longer the man who felt lost and uncertain, nor was he the same person who had boarded that fateful flight. He had emerged stronger, more confident, and with a clear vision for his life. One evening, as Jack sat in his study, he looked at a photograph of him and Amanda taken during a happier time. A smile touched his lips, not out of longing, but out of gratitude. Their time together was a part of his journey that he would always cherish. Jack's story was one of transformation. From uncertainty to clarity, from upheaval to stability, and from being a passive passenger in life to becoming the pilot of his own destiny. As he closed his laptop and turned off the lights, he knew that his journey was far from over. It was just a new beginning, a new chapter in a life that was uniquely his own. The journey continues, not just for Jack, but for everyone who finds themselves at crossroads, facing the unknown. It is a journey of discovery, of facing fears, and of embracing the endless possibilities that life offers.